So these are my mung dal beans. They've been sitting overnight in water. So last night before I put them in here, I filled this up with water, tap water. I stirred it around, dumped it, and I kept draining and putting fresh water and stirring and stirring and stirring. And then I just left them in here overnight. And now I'll drain them. I'll put more fresh water in and I'll let them sit until I'm ready for them, just to get them good and clean. And they will look like this. Right, Farley? And then I've got the coriander seeds and the cumin seeds. This is the rice that I'm going to use. It's organic brown basmati rice. We like it from Trader Joe's. And I'm now going to do the same thing that I did with this. I'm going to rinse these until the water runs clear. But I'm not, I don't soak the rice overnight. There's no need. All right. Now here's the rice. I just kind of keep it all in the same bowl. So the rice and the beans are ready. 1 teaspoon cumin, seeds, 1/2 teaspoon coriander seeds. And then I crush these up. Okay, so these are just the seeds alone. This is a teaspoon of cumin seeds and 1/2 teaspoon of coriander seeds. And I crunched them up. I got some turmeric in there by accident. And then this is my spices mixed together. So this is a 1.5 teaspoon of salt, 1/2 teaspoon of black pepper, 1/2 teaspoon of ground cumin, and 1/2 teaspoon of turmeric. And I just kind of put these aside with the beans and my ginger, which I'm going to go to next. They call for a 1-inch piece of ginger, but we usually do a little bit more. We'll dice this up and see how much it comes out to. And then we do the garlic. We use just slightly less garlic than we do ginger. This is a lot of ginger and we won't use all of it, but we kind of base how much ginger we use on how many vegetables we cut up. Okay, so here we have the garlic. We definitely use a pretty crazy amount of carrots and we like the Trader Joe's variety, as does Farley. He's gonna cut the carrots up uniform and small. So we can put them in the Vitamix to dice.
We're going to go half and half.
Okay.
We're going to go half so that it moves around and cuts without it overloading the thing, and then it cuts it too small. You can see it. See, it'll kind of come out somewhat diced. This.
Yeah, great. We will do the same with the onion. And then the onions. Okay, now for the ghee.
For the ghee, get a little saucepan like that on a small burner. The key is not to burn it. We'll go very, very low. Oh, we use organic or grass-fed butter, Kerry Gold, best brand. You can get it at Trader Joe's. This is cheapest, probably $3.70, I think.
And unsalted, right?
Unsalted, the ghee, which is very... Before, we used to put the butter in and keep scooping off the top. But now what we do is we put it in the pan on low and just leave it alone. And what's going to happen is it'll melt and it'll separate on its own. And from there, we can actually pour out. You'll see in a couple minutes. Okay, key thing about the ghee is you don't want to stir it. And in fact, I just move this handle like this. And by moving the handle, I think it shifts the heat around. You can see the little bubbles. You really don't want that because when it does that, it stirs it up. And the idea is if you leave it alone, it'll separate itself. So, jam jar. And what we're going to do is we're going to pour it. You can see that all the milk solids are on the bottom. And so all I'm doing is pouring the top out. And if you go slow, I think the top thing is kind of foam, but all the milk solids are still on the bottom. And there's always a little ring that I can never get. And I'm not quite sure what the answer is, like what the pros do. But this method works nicely because you don't have to worry about cheesecloths. You don't have to worry about separate it with a spoon, which is a real hassle. So look, I can turn.
Yeah, so we'll do 2 tablespoons of the ghee in the pan to heat the carrots, onions, and the ginger.
We generally season quite a bit, but I think it's important in this phase right here to bring out the flavor for the carrots and the onion. So salt and pepper.
So we heat the carrots and the onions for a good 15 minutes until they're soft. I forgot and told you that the ginger goes in with the carrots and the onions, which the recipe does call for, but that's not how we do it.
We cook the carrots and onions a little bit, maybe 5 minutes, just to get them nice and soft so that neither the garlic or the ginger overcook. And then the first thing we do is we make a little space and we put the ginger in. But we hold off from the garlic because the garlic can burn pretty easily. And so really, after this is cooked, rendered down a little bit, then we come over the top with the garlic at the end. So we're gonna hold off from the garlic. You can see here, the ginger is down there on the bottom. Let that go against the heat of the pan for a little bit and then mix it in and let this keep going probably for about another 5 or 6 minutes. All right, we come over with the garlic. Again, get it like down on the bottom just to kind of, I guess, release it a little bit with the oils and everything so it's not a bite. And the key thing is that we've had this long enough so that all the carrots are nice and soft. I'm gonna throw a bay leaf in just because we like it. It's not part of the recipe. Always adds.
Those are the seeds, the coriander and the cumin seeds.
Yep, you put them in.
And then they saute for about 2 minutes. All right, so now the beans and the rice go in. And the rest of the seasoning.
Okay. I mean, we use a little bit more than what's... you can actually use more ghee than is indicated in the recipe. And so we like to keep the bottom of the pan with the ghee seasoning. So as we keep adding stuff, we'll add a little bit more in. And then as we stir it, everything gets coated and we know it's not gonna be burnt.
So then comes the broth and the water. We like the Trader Joe's chicken bone broth. And we do 2 boxes of this.
How many more?
4 cups of water, so you need 2 more.
Turn this up on the high.
Onto high and let it come to a boil. And then turn it down to simmer.
Yep.
And while that is cooking, we're going to saute the kale. Coconut oil that is triple filtered from Trader Joe's, organic, and it has no coconut flavor to it. You can use the ghee or any oil of your choice. We like to saute the kale first because it makes it nice and soft and we get to flavor it. Season it before we put it in, and it's just an extra added bunch of flavor. In goes the kale. So it's now been cooking for about 15-20 minutes, you think?
Yeah, probably a little more.